we got a new update around a trade target that's been very popular for the New Orleans Saints, and that is quarterback Joe Milton, who's with the New England Patriots. And if you guys remember that name, well, it's probably because you guys are SEC fans, he played at Tennessee, or just because you've seen our videos before. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Before we let you get your weekend started, wanted to give you the latest Joe Milton trade update. Now, we'll hop back in time for just a second, and we'll revisit what the latest updates were before this, so that way you guys can know what's really going on. The Patriots are actively trying to trade away Joe Milton. New England loves him, but Drake May, he is their franchise guy. They signed Josh Dobbs this offseason. So right now, it feels like Joe Milton is the odd man out. And right now, it feels like the Patriots feel as if they can get something nice in return for their backup third-string quarterback, you could call it. He's continuing to develop. They are expecting they should get a deal done. Now, here's a new update. This is exactly what the new update was, and we're going to show you what the quote is from the Zolak and Bertrand show, 98.5 The Sports Hub. It's a radio station up in New England. And, you know, these guys, I'm not going to say are insiders, but we have heard them be accurate on some reports here and there. So this is what they said on their recent show. Joe Milton is going to get moved prior to the draft. Zolak saying 100% they're trying right now. Oh, well, there's another nugget from Bertrand. So, you know, the New Orleans Saints, they have been linked. This is no mystery. They are a team that does not have a quarterback. They're a team that you've seen get linked through a trade that involves Chris Olave. You've seen it get linked through trades that involve draft picks and stuff. And, you know, I do think it does make some sense for the Saints to at least explore this idea, because there is no clear plan in place for the long-term future at the quarterback position for Kellen Moore. Obviously, Derek Carr, he is going to be the QB1 this year, but you know what happened last time Carr was on the way out of a team and he was a starting quarterback. By the time the season was over, he was benched and not playing. And so maybe that's something that we see the New Orleans Saints do, and maybe a quarterback of the future is where Kellen Moore wants to shift his focus after this season. So Spencer Rattler hasn't shown enough for you to have full faith in him, which is fair to say. I'm a Rattler believer, but he has not been good enough. I don't like Jake Haener. I think Joe Milton can be an option. And, you know, it's not going to blow your mind when you see the stats. He played in one game, and it was against the Buffalo Bills backups after they had already clinched a playoff spot, and they were benching a lot of their players. And, you know, credit where it's due, though. Milton absolutely balled out. 22 of 29, over 240 passing yards, 16 yards on the ground, 1 carry, 1 touchdown, 16 yards. He also threw a touchdown in the air as well. And Joe Milton is a guy who continues to develop, and he's a player who, if the Saints put the tools around him and Kellen Moore can be the quarterback whisperer that we hope he can be, you know, maybe this is a move that makes some sense. But it's worth noting, I absolutely hate this asking price. The reports are that the Patriots are seeking a third-round pick. Absolutely not. I mean, there is just simply no way. You know, I know the Patriots are seeking a third-round pick. Well, guess what? I'm seeking something ridiculous too. I'm seeking 69 new subscribers here at Saints Now by Chat Sports. I am on the road to getting to 43,000. If we get 69,000, that just pumps us right over the top, one over, so that we have the insurance policy, if you will. So hit that sub button. The Patriots are seeking a third-round pick. I'm seeking 69 subscribers. One of them is much more realistic than the other. So help your boy out and lock us in if you're a Saints fan. So let's just keep having this conversation. I don't want to give away a third-round pick. Not for a guy who's a sixth-round pick. Joe Milton, I will say I like him more than Jake Haener. I don't dislike Jake Haener as a human being, but this is purely from a football standpoint. I don't think Jake Haener's it. I don't think that he's the future of the quarterback position. If you're upset about that, I'm here to tell you Fresno State is not a NFL quarterback factory like you think it is. You're also probably sitting here saying that Derek Carr is the greatest thing to touch turf. I just don't think that Haener is the future. Rattler, there is possibility and there is upside there and there's potential there, but he has to definitely iron out some things and he definitely has to continue his development and he needs to be much better. But I would much rather see Rattler and Milton compete for the backup quarterback spot rather than Haener and Rattler. I just don't like it. And I am interested in a Joe Milton trade. Like, let me make sure I make this explicitly clear. I am definitely interested in shopping for a quarterback. I'm a firm believer believer that the New Orleans Saints need to go and find a specific type of quarterback that can run Kellen Moore's offense, because we all know that Kellen Moore is going to have at least a couple of years of a leash in order to figure out his team and get his offense in order and pick out his quarterback. So, Derek Carr, obviously, he's going to be the starting quarterback right now, but just because that's the plan for week one doesn't mean it needs to be the plan in the last few weeks or even in week one next season. So, I am definitely interested in kicking the tires on a Joe Milton trade, but like I said, I'm not sending a third-round pick. There is zero part of me that will send the New England Patriots a third-round pick. You have two of them, so, you could get rid of one of them and burn one. But I view the New Orleans Saints draft capital right now as pretty prime. They have 6 picks in the top 150. I feel like you got to make those selections to really help the roster. And, if you trade for a quarterback who, granted, will not be expensive, also probably only 1 pick gets it done, you can still build around him with that. But I just don't like the idea of giving away a third-round pick. Definitely not a fourth. A 6th-round pick, one of those 7s. Pair those 7, I don't really care. Fine. But I'm not giving up a third-round pick. That's too good of draft capital, and certainly not giving up the higher of the third-round picks. I also am a believer in this philosophy. You need to continue to add a quarterback every offseason until you got your guy. There is something to say about healthy competition. There's something to say about continuously bringing people in. There's something to say about making guys uncomfortable. And I think that making players uncomfortable on a roster can be a good thing if you do it the right way. And what I mean by make them uncomfortable is do not let a guy be comfortable being the backup quarterback. Be like, your job's on the line. You will be demoted if you do not show up and you perform well. We cannot let guys be Alex Morans in Blue Mountain State just happy to be there, happy to get the check and go home. That's not what we need. We need to add guys to the roster who are going to be players, who are going to be playmakers, who are going to show up on game day, who are going to execute, be leaders, reset a culture, and define what it means to be a New Orleans Saints football player, because quite frankly, this is a team that does not have an identity, and I think the Saints really need to go shopping and get their identity back. And by shopping, I mean just, get it back. So, I'll say this. Joe Milton, I do think that he is a good football player. I just don't love the things coming out of Tennessee. He's very inconsistent. He's very inaccurate. Like, he can hit the ball on any piece of grass, any blade of grass on the field. He has an absolute cannon for an arm. The dude can throw the ball over the mountains Uncle Rico style. That being said, it's inconsistent. It's inaccurate. However, these are fixable things. Like, I don't want to sit here and say, bad, Joe Milton. No, you're terrible. Because that's not true. You can fix those things. You can develop those things. You can iron those things out. If you have a good coaching staff, if you have a good scheme, if you have good players and you have a good support system around them, you can hide a lot of the flaws for various different players, and Joe Milton being one of those guys. I like the idea of Joe Milton. I don't love the idea of Joe Milton. I would rather just use one of our draft picks on a quarterback. And, the Saints have been pretty active in shopping the quarterback market. There's definitely buzz about the Saints trading up to number 1 overall to go and get Cam Ward. It's going to cost you a pretty penny in terms of the draft capital and the trade compensation. It's going to cost you a lot, but maybe Cam Ward is worth it. I would prefer to stay put, but maybe you want to trade up to 9. Shedeur Sanders also has been linked to the New Orleans Saints. He's had a meeting with them. He met with them at the scouting combine. Deion Sanders recently in an interview mentioned New Orleans as a team that he would be happy if Shedeur Sanders went there. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, the Saints had a meeting with him recently at their Ole Miss Pro Day. He's a guy who's definitely been linked to the Saints. Mel Kiper had him taking Jackson Dart at number 9 overall, which is a massive, massive reach. Quinn Ewers has been mocked to the Saints as well. He has been recently mocked in the 2nd round by Matt Miller of ESPN to the New Orleans Saints at 40 overall. Saints did meet with him at the Combine. They also flew out to Austin for the Pro Day and had dinner with them. Will Howard also got seen with Kellen Moore, and Kellen Moore looked pretty happy to be talking to the Ohio State quarterback, so maybe he's on the board. And Kyle McCord, the Syracuse quarterback as well, has had a draft meeting with the New Orleans Saints. So, these are 6 guys who have met with the Saints. They're clearly exploring the option of a quarterback. I believe Jake Hayner's the odd man out. I think Spencer Rattler deserves an opportunity to show what he's capable of. And Derek Carr, Week 4, Week 5, Week 6, if you're not playing well, the noise is going to start getting real loud for one of these guys. But, I do think, and I will end it on this, my final thoughts. New Orleans, in my opinion, is actually a really good situation for a young quarterback to be either added to, signed to, drafted to, traded for, whatever. I think that this is a really good situation for a young quarterback to be in. You have the ability to compete for the QB2 now and get snaps if there's injuries or if there's blowouts or anything like that. You also have the opportunity to have no pressure. You walk in, Derek Carr's the starting quarterback. You're not expected to start week 1. You have nothing but time. You have nothing but leniency. You can grow. You can develop. And to be totally honest, I think I speak for all Saints fans when I say this, except for those of you who are secret Raiders fans or just Fresno State alumni. I think everyone would be happy if it's anybody but Derek Carr, to be totally honest. So, you're going to get more love than Derek Carr does. So I just think that this is a good situation for a young quarterback to be in. I want to see what the Saints opt to do in the draft. I want to see the Saints possibly explore the Joe Milton trade, but I just don't want to see them overpay for a guy like Joe Milton. He was a 6th-round pick. I'm not trading a 3rd just because of one good game in Week 18 against a bunch of backups. It's just not doing that. So pick a quarterback for me for the future. Spencer Rattler, he's the obvious option that's on the roster. Joe Milton, he's an external option that the Saints could trade for. If you have another option, whether it's draft, free agency, trade, anything like that, just shout them out in the comment section and share your thoughts. Y'all stay golden, Who Dat Nation. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in before you got the party started, and we will see y'all next time.